Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. So, guys, obviously we've had some big news lately, with the Canelo saga about him going to PBC, and Hearn, um, is everyone's trolling Hearn, about the fact that he's left him and stuff. I didn't get the trolling, to be brutally honest with you. I don't know why people are trolling Hearn. I think it's probably because of Hearn's character, the fact that he's brash. And he comes out and says, yeah, I'm going to take over America, this, that, the other. So I think people like to get back at him. I mean, there's some guys like Leonard Ellerby, Luda Bellerin, guys like that, having a go at her. And you think, come on. I mean, you guys have been in the game for a long time. Why are you going at this guy from Britain just because he left Canelo? Canelo left him. I mean, he's done a lot of fights with Canelo. And the fact that he picked Canelo over these guys for so long says a lot, you know what I mean? And these guys are established promoters in America, and Canelo chose Hearn for so many of these fights, and it is what it is. I do think people in America, they don't like Eddie Hearn because of Eddie Hearn's the way he talks, and I don't think they get Hearn. Hearn has a banter. He's quite funny at times, but these guys don't understand. They don't get the banter, which fair enough. What I wanted to talk about in this video is that there's a lot of talk about these three fights on PBC and who's Canelo going to fight in these three fights. A lot of people want to know who are going to be the three names. And there's been a lot spouted about, and I've said this and I'm going to stay firm. A lot of you said, my good friend James Deere. James Deere is my boy, you know what I mean? He's been on my channel for I don't know how long. And he always gives his opinion. He's not afraid. He says you still can't give Canelo credit because we don't know who he's going to face. James, I can promise you those three fights are going to be against three top fighters. Al Heyman isn't paying Canelo Alvarez for three fights against two duds or something. That's not happening with PBC. Canelo's not going to be able to get that away with that luxury with PBC, unfortunately. Here, Canelo isn't going to have the power the way he did with Hearn, where Canelo could control and say, it's not the same here. Al Heyman is going to make sure, and those fights would be principally maybe verbally agreed already. But Canelo Alvarez is going to get paid a lot of money to fight these fights because, the rumors are that he's getting paid a lot of money for these three fights. And this deal is massive because the three fights that he's got, he's getting paid bagloads of dough. So Al Heyman's a very shrewd, sharp businessman. There's no way he's going to allow Canelo to fight three guys that are not on his level or not going to do business for PBC unless they're three top opponents. So the first one's probably going to be Charlo. The second one's probably going to be Benavidez. And then you're probably looking at a Spence fight. A lot of people were saying Andrade. I don't think Andrade does the business. I think the money that Canelo's getting paid, I don't think Andrade at this point, with how inactive he's been, with the fact that Andrade wasn't a big star prior, I don't think he does the business. However, Errol Spence does. So if but again, that will obviously be on subject to whether Errol Spence beats Crawford as well. I think even if he doesn't beat Crawford, potentially they could still fight, at 168, because Spence has talked about, I'm a big guy. I'm as big as Canelo and I can walk around out the way. I don't agree with that. I think Spence will be a massive disadvantage if he fights Canelo. But I don't think anyone, if those are the three fights that we get, I don't think anyone can criticize Saul Canelo Alvarez. And I don't want to hear any rubbish about Saul Canelo Alvarez after that. Because if Canelo fights Charlo, Benavidez, Spence, I mean, we can't be talking nonsense. We can't be talking nonsense about Canelo. And here's the thing, and I know James said that you can't give Canelo praise yet because he hasn't fought those guys. I know that's what's going to happen. I know that's going to happen. There's no way Al Heyman is going to feed Canelo these easy fights. It's just not, because Al Heyman's going to be paying significant amount of money. And when Al Heyman pays you significant amount of money, he expects big fights to happen. And Canelo, like I said, doesn't have the freedom that he had with Hearn. This is why I believe that Canelo went with Hearn, because he had freedom. He was telling Hearn what he wanted, and Hearn was delivering. With Al Heyman, that's not going to be the case. It's not going to be a case where Al Heyman gives him a fight and then says, we'll have one easy fight. That's not what Al Heyman's going to do. Al Heyman's going to want him to take tough fights back to back. So this is going to be tough fight after tough fight. Tough fight in the sense that it's going to be big name after big name after big name, because that's how Al Heyman's going to recuperate that money. That's how he's going to do good business. So Al Heyman's not stupid. Al Heyman's a very, very sharp, shrewd businessman. And he is going to make sure that Canelo fights the top guys. And PBC, I've got a couple of guys that if they fight Canelo, they can do good business with Canelo. So that's why PBC know that this is a good move for both parties. It's a good move because Canelo Alvarez could seal his career and put that cherry on top on his career by beating these guys that a lot of people were saying. Because if Canelo cleans all three of those out, Spence, Benavidez, and Charlo, Canelo's cleaned out, then there's not going to be any talk. Yeah, I guess there will still be some talk about Andrade, because there's going to be some Andrade fanboys that come out and say he didn't fight Andrade. But let's be honest, I don't think you can begrudge Canelo if he fights those three names. If those three fights do happen, I don't think any of you should be begrudging Saul Canelo Alvarez, because that would be some run. So I personally think that if Canelo finishes off and beats all those three guys, I think we can rank him there as one of the greats, one of the all-time greats, and one of the greatest of all time. If he cleans those guys out, I think Canelo would seal his legacy. And at that point, I think Canelo Alvarez could do what he wants as well. I think his legacy would be so far confirmed that Canelo could do what he wants. He could go to cruiserweight, he could go to light heavyweight, he could do whatever he wants. Saul Canelo Alvarez. I wouldn't be surprised if I still see him chasing the Bivol fight. I don't think he'll give up on Bivol. But what this might do is now, because the Bivol fight can't happen for the next 1.5 years now, right? Because Canelo Alvarez has got a 3-fight deal locked in with PBC. So what I think could happen is that Bivol and Beterbiev are going to fight, I think. I think there's going to be more emphasis on that fight happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo Alvarez targets the winner after these 3 fights. If he's still going to continue, if he's still got the desire, and if he's still got it. Because obviously those 3 fights that he's going to have is going to take a lot out of him. So we don't know what Canelo's going to have left. And remember, he's going to be 1.5 years older. So obviously, is he going to still be fit to fight? And just imagine Beterbiev beats Bivol. That puts Canelo in a strong position then to target that fight, because a lot of people think that Beterbiev's too big and stuff for Canelo. But that would, imagine him beating those 3 guys and him going up then beating Beterbiev. I mean, Canelo Alvarez would be on another level then. You know what I mean? So there's a lot. Canelo Alvarez should now focus on PBC and the fighters that he's going to face. But there is rumors that he's going to be facing Charlo, Benavidez, then Spence. What do you make of that lineup? That is a very, very, very good fight between him and Spence as well. But I'm just concerned about the weight. Right now, Spence is fighting at 147. Now, that would be a 3 weight class weight jump for Spence. And it would be happening in a short space of time, because you would say that fight would happen, that fight would probably happen next September. So you're talking about not long, about maybe 14 months from now. So how's Spence going to go from 147 to 168? You'd have to think that they do it at some sort of catch weight, maybe 164. And by the way, I think Spence can make 164, but I just don't know how well he'll perform at that weight. Because weight jumps are never great. You know, when you're fighting another top fighter, weight jumps never generally work out. The bigger guy always gets the better of the smaller guy, especially when the bigger guy is very skilled also. So in terms of the weight jump, it's a scary one for Spence. But maybe Spence is very confident. Maybe Spence feels that he'll feel more comfortable at that weight. But I just think that Canelo is acclimatized and he's been at that weight for a very long time. So I don't know how effective Spence will be against Canelo. Also, Spence is a fighter that likes to fight on the inside. Can he keep Canelo at range and box Canelo and outbox Canelo? That's going to be very difficult as well. Because Canelo Alvarez, if you can't really hurt him or push him back, Canelo Alvarez will start walking forward very aggressively, hitting you to the body and start breaking you down. And Canelo Alvarez, I've said this before, is a very thick set. He's a very thick, big set guy. Whereas Spence, on the other hand, is not. He's not like Canelo Alvarez fought at 154, but Canelo Alvarez's physique and Spence's physique, there's a big difference. Canelo's a bigger guy. You can just tell from his physique. He's just built differently than Spence. So that for me is gonna be that's gonna be a that's gonna be a big test for Spence. But yeah, I like it. I do like it. What do you guys make of it? Do you think that the Canelo Spence fight will happen at 168? Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.